looks really good on screen. Get out of my face! Pretty much single-handedly destroyed my experience of watching this drama. Hi, you're watching Avenue X, where a junkie on good storytelling shares her thoughts, knowledge, and occasional weird ideas on stories and how they're told. Humans, 你好, Anyi, is a 30-episode web drama. It is led by Ma Tianyu and Qi Wei, and it's the Chinese adaptation version of the UK drama series Humans. If you've watched the original UK series, you know it is a story about AI robot gaining consciousness. For Chinese dramaland, sci-fi is a very, very, very rare breed. They got the copyright, they actually collaborated, I think, with some of the foreign writers to do this drama. If you go on Wikipedia to find this drama, you will still find a foreign writer attached to it saying that he has worked on the script that's for the Chinese version. But if you go on the Chinese website, you can't quite find this person. So I don't know what actually went through the process, whether it's written originally by a foreign writer and then got translated, or whether it got then changed and then it's a complete Chinese story. From what I can tell from Chinese websites and information source, it's a Chinese scriptwriter project. Based on the first 16 episodes I've watched, I'm going to give it a goldmine / landmine rating. I was really arguing with myself about whether I should put it as a 1 goldmine or goldmine /. Eventually I decided for the lower. First, let me talk about the things I think are satisfactory, and then I will talk about the things that just kind of keeps pulling it down for me. First, the good thing. It's a very good standard drama. It will take you a very short time when you get into the story to realize it's a very well planned drama. The overall look of it, cinematography, color palette, visual language, style, and production design, it has very consistent look. They're setting the story in future 2035 in China, where you can buy very matured robot AI to serve all kinds of different purposes, and the use of those robots at different places has already been well integrated into the society. You can detect a quite sort of matured production style for this whole thing, although not as pronounced as what you would usually see in the US or UK drama series, having very distinctive style of how they pace things, you know, how they figure out the commercial break and how to stop and start at those points. Although not like that, you can still feel it is slightly more stylistic than most of the Chinese dramas. So you do feel it's a mixed breed between very Chinese drama and US drama or UK drama. So the overall production standard is quite acceptable. And for a future setting sci-fi drama, I don't think it has failed at that point. It has done a lot of detail work that really sells the concept of having a very like human AI robot working at a household scenario. The second thing I appreciate about this drama is I do like Qi Wei's performance of her role Anyi, the robot that actually has human consciousness but got reformatted and then tried to, you know, figure out who she is. She's done a really good job doing that robot, although I have to say I haven't watched the original UK series. I restrained really myself from watching that and compare with this drama because I just want to go into this drama as a story I've never come across and see what my response is. So I haven't watched the original series, can't compare. I do like her performance. I think she's done a good enough job selling her role, and she uses her own voice in this drama, which doesn't happen to all the main characters. And then I actually do enjoy Ma Tianyu's presence. I have never been a fan of his acting, and I don't think he's done a brilliant job at acting in this drama either, but he looks really good on screen. Being frank and honest to my audience, yeah, I like to look at a pretty face on screen, and I can forgive a pretty face probably more than, you know, But not saying like I am very impressed by either his character or his performance. I just enjoy watching those two people. So they are probably the reason why I am still watching this drama at this point. Beyond those things, I find it's very hard to find other reason to introduce this drama to a friend of mine and try to make them go and watch it. So let's talk about the things that did bother me while I watched this drama, which resulted in me, after a little bit argument with myself, decided to give it absolute middle rating of my entire scale. The first very jarring thing about this drama, for me to watch it as a Chinese person, is it feels very much not like a Chinese story. I know it's based on UK drama, but when you adapt a foreign drama into your domestic environment, one very important thing is you have to domesticate the story. You have to domesticate how people talk, the particular language, vocabulary that works, the particular style of social interactions. The story is set in the future, 2035, which is not so far. They're kind of taking out so much detail that you can't really tell this is a Chinese family. If you look at the decor, like it can just be any average modern style European family. And the landscape is almost not there in this drama. It feels like a very floaty story. Nothing is grounded. You don't see the details of their work. You don't see the details of their relationship with other people, where they're socialized. You don't see the cityscape, and it really happens in a very detached imaginary land. And I'm pretty sure 15 years down the line, whatever kind of development it has happened, it still will be very China. It still will be filled with street corners with street food. And that detachment doesn't only happen with the visual style or the set design, it also happens heavily with people's language. Many of the vocabularies and the lines spoken between characters literally wouldn't really be used like that in a daily Chinese person conversation. I have been poked by the lines so many times throughout this drama that makes me clearly feel like the original thing is written probably in English, and then they translated it into Chinese, but they didn't domesticate the particular way that people speak into how Chinese people would deliver the same meaning but with different type of words. It's almost like I'm watching a imported foreign film or television and then got dubbed with Chinese, but just happened to have all the people with Chinese face. Very weird experience. Small example for the one of the leading roles in the drama, the middle-aged man who is the head of the household, who is inviting his boss to his home, having this meal that's being cooked by this robot and very impressive to the guests. And they're talking about his wife, and he would refer to his wife as 我的妻子. For a Chinese social kind of occasion like that, you are talking to your boss at home, and for middle-aged men, right, the most common word they would actually use would be 我的爱人 or 我的内人. 内人 is even an older word, so maybe most likely it will be 我的爱人. Literally means the person I love. It's a small thing, but it's rarely you hear people say 我的妻子. And in a less formal, more colloquial conversation, they probably will use the word 老婆, 我老婆. But I think because he's talking to a boss he really respects, he probably wouldn't use 老婆, he would use 爱人, and that's more standard for a Chinese middle-aged person. I'm pretty sure 15 years down the line, the Chinese middle-aged man probably will still use that word. Yet he uses 妻子, which is not a colloquial word you'd use in conversation like this. Like, these little things keeps popping up everywhere, and it just keeps dragging me out of the story. I get constantly reminded I'm not watching a Chinese drama, although everybody looks Chinese and speaks Chinese. And that's strengthened by the fact that they used a lot of dubbing actors for a lot of the roles. So some people used their own voice, such as Qi Wei. Some people had dubbed voice, such as Ma Tianyu. And the dubbing style is a little bit weird. It sounds a little bit like foreign translated film imported into China, then dubbed with Mandarin. That also pulls me out of the story constantly. Then the third thing that really made my watching experience quite painful is the bad guy, the big anti-hero. It is so annoying and so overacting. If that's the director trying to make the actor acting like that, what's the purpose of making that character so freaking annoying? It's the bad guy who's chasing after the technology of creating the code that creates the consciousness, and then his secretary and his watchdog person. These two bad people are so annoying. I prefer interesting, in-depth bad guy that actually are enjoyable for you to watch. Like, you don't have to sympathize with them. You know they're bad guy, but they're interesting people and you actually want to watch their storyline. Whereas when they show up, I just want to get out of my face. You two are so disgusting and annoying. And particularly the big boss bad guy, this guy just overacts all the time. He screams. He's constantly angry 24/7, and when he screams, his facial expression, his voice is so over the top. You know what he reminds me of? Of that character from Legend of Faye, the bad guy who shows up and who would do this thing, you know, with his gesture. That's ridiculous. He's kind of the modern version of that. Super animated, absolutely annoying, doesn't feel like a real person. You know, like if you've watched Guardian Zhenhun, the white-haired professor who is a crazy scientist in that drama, he's very overacting in that drama. Some of his scenes are plainly laughable, but he's also in this drama. And in this drama, he's so normal compared to that crazy bad boss guy. And that acting pretty much single-handedly destroyed my experience of watching this drama. Very unsuccessful bad guy writing and also portraying and whatever. The final thing is, I think it has missed a big opportunity. The reason that makes me jump in between one gold mine, gold slash landmine rating and couldn't quite decide is I wanted to rate it higher because I want to kind of encourage the sci-fi genre, which is so rare in Chinese drama land. You hardly ever see any work in that. It deserves a little bit more attention and support. But then when I think about what the drama has actually done, which is taking the original work, that at the core is the discussion about what makes us human. If you have consciousness, you have self-generated thought, you have feelings, all kinds of human emotions, does that make you human? If you're a robot, you can do that. Should we treat you as a human? And how should biologically human react to that? How should we place our position in that relationship? It's a very interesting topic, very big potential, lot of juicy discussion about humanity, and all that can happen from this premise. And the drama kind of only takes the shell of couple of robots have managed to figure out the consciousness thing, and then it becomes a thriller drama of somebody trying to get that technology, chasing after them, they're trying to hide. They just take the superficial level and the superficial content of that story, and they didn't bother to go into the bigger, juicy philosophical discussion. At this point, episode 16, they really haven't gone into any deep discussion about the big things, the bigger theme, the elephant in the room, the thing that I really am looking forward to. So, missed opportunity probably is the biggest problem with this drama. And then the non-Chineseness of a Chinese story that constantly pulls the audience out of its setting is also a big problem. Maybe I will go back to this drama when it finishes airing and just to see how they ended. I just happened to watched it, so I don't want to waste what I've spent, the hours that I've spent on it, and share my opinion about it. Have you watched this drama? Do you have similar reactions as I do? This drama is not a bad production, it just feels very chicken rib. If you throw it away, it feels a little bit of a waste, but then if you eat it, there's really nothing to chew off on it. It's totally fine. If you are a fan of any of the main actors, just watching them makes you happy, then it's totally watchable. That would conclude my opinion in this video. Thank you for watching Avenue X. I'll see you in my next video. Meanwhile, live long and happy drama watching.